Good afternoon, welcome. My name is Carlton Ray. I'm the director of the DC Clean Rivers Project for DC Water, a project that will significantly enhance and improve the water quality in the Potomac and Potomac and the Anacostia Rivers, as well as Rock Creek here in the district. We're glad you're here to participate in the Green Infrastructure Challenge Award ceremony. Again, we're fortunate at DC Water to have a general manager who's a national leader in the environmental field and passionate about the restoring the district rivers. He's been a visionary at DC Water to challenge us to look at other means to clean up the district waterways through the use of green infrastructure. George Hawkins brings knowledge and perseverance to address long-standing environmental issues in unique and innovative ways. George's commitments to establishing a better environment is unsurpassed, and with great pleasure, I'd like to introduce Mr. George Hawkins, General Manager for DC Water.
I always say whenever I go in front of an audience and there are no swear words used in my introduction, it is a very good day. I'm delighted to be here today. This is a huge day for DC Water, and we think for the district. We stand at the lip of a remarkably important decision to make in our city, a decision that's being made across the country and arguably across the world. And what we're going to talk about today is designed that in parallel with sort of the bureaucratic, governmental, legalistic, structural aspects of making these kinds of decisions, that we're being pushed in making those decisions by the best of what science, technology, and policy can offer. So that when we are in public policy and government will be totally involved in this all the way through, making a decision on behalf of the public, we're basing it upon the best of what engineering and science and thought and innovation can deliver to us to make the substance of these decisions even better. So let me get to the work at hand. What is this principal day? If you go to the first slide, this is a slide that summarizes our plan, which we call the Clean Rivers Plan, to resolve combined sewers in Washington, D.C. What you see in the light purple part of the graph, well, this is obviously the diamond of Washington. The light purple is the part of the city that has combined sewers. Everybody here knows what that is, but in case there's someone who doesn't, that's the part of the city that's pretty much the oldest. And when the sewers were being built underground, it took flow from a sewage pipe as well as the storm drain coming off the street. Now today we realize what a problem that is. At the time, this flow was going directly to a canal, untreated, on the surface that used to flow where now Constitution Avenue runs, right next to the Potomac, completely untreated and at the surface. So putting it down into a pipe and getting it out of the system was a vast improvement to what had been before. The problem is, obviously, that no matter how big you build one of these pipes that's combined, most of the time there's almost nothing in it. The sewage by itself is a relatively small amount of flow at the bottom of the pipe. Then it rains, and you walk down the street, you see all that rain pouring into the storm drain, you wonder, where's it going? Well, it's going to that pipe, and it fills up fairly rapidly if the storm is of an intensity that's high enough, and at some point the pipe is full. And either we can have the flow go back to streets and back to basements, which, by the way, as we all know, sometimes does happen, and we're going to solve that problem with this project for Washington as well, or you let it overflow to the river. That is a bad outcome, but it is not as bad as having an overflow into people's homes. So that's how it was designed on purpose, combined sewer overflows. We want to resolve that problem. The technical document is called the Long-Term Control Plan. We call it Clean Rivers, because we want the public to know why is it that we're doing the project. It's to clean the rivers. This is the plan as it is currently devised. In a consent decree we signed, the city, DC Water, Department of Justice, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. What you see going up the Potomac and on the right on the Anacostia, and then proceeding into the city, is the solution to the largest part of the overflows, which are along the Anacostia. 2 of the 3 billion gallons of overflow that we have in an average hydrologic year happen on the Anacostia. That's what we're building today. Important to us, important to the city administrator and the mayor, we've actually accelerated the performance of when we're building this part of the remedy. It is not implicated by our ideas of trying some new things or proposing some new things. We are building these. I have been on the tunnel boring machine named Ladybird under the ground as it was boring. It was moving along under the Potomac. It's an engineering marvel like you can't believe. But we are on time, we are on budget, we are going to deliver that project to the tune of about $1.6 to $1.8 billion. There are two other phases to the Clean Rivers project on a tunnel basis, which is what you see in a yellow along the Potomac up in Georgetown, and blue, which is for the Rock Creek. Currently, those are also designed to be tunnels, to capture the overflow in the tunnel, and then once the rainstorm goes by and the flow in the regular pipes drops down, you can pump it back out and the regular system can handle it. It's only at those peaks of flow that you can't handle it in the regular system. And that's the question we have. We are about to invest billions of dollars of your money, ratepayer money, for a solution that's going to be in place in this city for a century. As long as the system that we have today has come to today, what we do now is going to last for the next 100 years. And what we want to be absolutely sure before we spend public funds on a solution of this scale is that we get it right, that we're doing the latest and the best solution for the city, for water quality, and for a host of other reasons. And that's what this experiment is all about. Next slide. So the question is, and by the way, I'm not going to, any more than this slide, I'm not going to talk much more other than you understand the context of why we're doing the Green Infrastructure Challenge. We're experimenting gray, with apologies to the mayor, is what we describe the tunnel solution, a gray solution. Green is green infrastructure. That's what all of you know about. Those of you who are being awarded our view best in the business. You're coming with some of the best ideas of how to do it. It's at the surface. It's green roofs. It's bioswales. It's changing roadway design to get infiltration. It's changing the landscape of the world around us to make it more livable, energy benefits, job benefits, all sorts of benefits, but also capturing stormwater, which is, after all, exactly what the tunnel does. So there's a green option, which we're calling green infrastructure. There's a gray option, or perhaps a hybrid, that we're going to come up with a solution that has elements of both. That we're not going to spend much more time on today. I do want to alert you that Sunday we will put in the newspaper the announcement of our proposal to modify the consent decree to allow a hybrid approach. This will kick off a 60-day public comment period. We're not going to hide anything. We're going to go tell everybody. We'll give everybody a chance to comment. We want the full public engaged and hear everybody's views. But this has got to be, in the end of the day, with this scale of investment, a consensus, we hope, to go in a different direction or not. But that will happen on Sunday. We're going to have a host of meetings over the next 30 to 45 days to get out and explain it. But that's coming. So keep your eyes apprised. We're about to announce a proposal that will then be subject to 60 full days of public comment, and then we'll review the comment and determine where to go from there. So this is the context. If we are contemplating modifying the existing consent decree, in parallel, we want to be sure that any proposal we make for green infrastructure is the best, is the most innovative, is the best performance, is the most cost-effective, is the most efficient. What is the best that we can offer this city? We want to be at the forefront of what's possible anywhere for what we do here in Washington, D.C., and that's why we did the Green Infrastructure Challenge. Let's let some of the best engineering, policy, architectural, landscaping firms in the country take a look at our city in the places where the work will have to be done and tell us what's possible. So next slide, please. So this is our Green Infrastructure Challenge. Go to the next slide. The goals. Don't have to say much about this now. You just heard me. We want to advance innovative technologies. We want stormwater runoff volume capture. That is what the tunnels do so well. Tunnels have an advantage. We know exactly how much they capture, and we maintain them underground. They're our responsibility. So there are very significant and measurable benefits to tunnels. There are also some challenges. Nobody sees them. It's hard for ratepayers to be paying all that money when they don't see some benefit in their neighborhood. And you don't get a lot of the other benefits you can get from green infrastructure, to constant water quality improvements, to energy improvements, to quality of life, to habitat, to job creation of a certain kind. There's all sorts of associated benefits. demonstrating effective solutions, proposing practical and implementable solutions, and I would say maintainable solutions, and retrofitting the urban landscape, proposing, these are the things we want to have the best before we would even go in the direction of actually changing the consent decree away from the current plan. Next slide. So here were our evaluation criteria for the submittals we received. Innovation. We really want this to push the margin. If all someone submitted was a project to do something that we already know a lot about, that might be a great project, but that wouldn't be pushing the envelope. What could really show some innovative ideas? So innovation was first. Performance, capture volume, and cost effectiveness. Bottom line is we want to know how much stormwater is captured, because that's the first issue we're going to be tested on. And second, how much does it cost to compare it to other alternatives? Practicality, focus on operations and maintenance and constructability. You almost would put them the other way around. Can we construct it? And in a big city, that's a big question. You do a tunnel underground, and once you get down there, you're not disturbing anybody on the surface most of the time as you're tunneling along. We're going to take a street in Georgetown and redesign it for green. At the end of the project, everybody will be happy. While we are tearing up the street, and there are less parking spaces, and there's less easy ways of getting around that neighborhood, there'll be people who are not so happy. So some of this is, can we do it? Is it possible to construct at this scale in Washington, D.C., and then can we maintain it over time? Can we maintain these projects next year, 2 years, 10 years from now, 20 years from now to continue their performance? And then the triple bottom line. We really want to know how this is going to improve communities. We want to focus on job creation, not just the number of jobs, but the kinds of jobs and their accessibility to people who need them. Energy benefits, climate change benefits. There's other things we want to quantify because the tunnel has very, very clear benefits, and we recognize them. We're building huge tunnels. We want to make sure we capture all of the benefits of this other source as well, so we have a good comparison and then decision to make along with all the people we serve. So the next slide. We did invite in people from the rest of district government and around the city to help us make these selections. Their work is not done because we're going to have a second round where we're evaluating these projects, and a smaller number of them are going to be awarded more funds to go into full design and construction. So this group will ask again to come back to help us make the second cut of an even smaller group of the best, because we just don't have enough money to take every good project we got, and there are many, all the way to construction. But you can see the names here on the list. I won't read them all off, but I owe a great debt. We owe a great debt of gratitude for the people listed here. They took their time and effort to really review the projects to help us grade them. It was a tough call. We had a lot of good projects. There were no bad ones. This was a question of only selecting the best, and we're very grateful for the work they did. You will notice my compatriots who work for the city administrator of agencies in the city. We know that this is going to take such close work with the Department of Transportation, the Department of Environment, Department of Public Works. We're going to have to work, as is the mantra of our city administrator, as a collaborative team for this to succeed, either as a pilot or, more importantly, if we try to do it at full scale. So the next slide. Here's the schedule I've mentioned. What we received was a large number of excellent proposals. We have winnowed them down to the winners that you see today. And we're going to ask them for a request for proposal to do a further design, and then a smaller number will actually be funded to do full designs and implementation in a pilot. So it won't actually be all 7. We wish we had enough funds to do all 7 all the way to the end. But this is the initial cutoff point of these are the finalists, and we're very proud of every one of the projects. If we could, we'd fund them all. But there's going to be a second round, and that's why we're going to need our panel to come back together again. And this is the schedule. It's going to be this year. We want to get from start to finish on building on these projects in this calendar year. So the next slide. I'm going to shift now. I did want, if the mayor had come and wanted to, I know the mayor's coming. He's very supportive. We met with him yesterday. If he were here. He's not here yet. Okay, when the mayor comes, we will usher him. You're on standby. Okay. And if not the mayor, the chair of our board, as well as the city administrator, we'd be delighted to have either. I did meet with them yesterday. One of the first questions the mayor asked was about consequence to ratepayers. How about performance and water quality? And the issue of how this could be maintained and implemented, and how we work across government agencies. So, and then how about sustainability? So he was, to me, right on. It's very rare in our business that when you're a specialist in a particular field, that you go into the mayor who's got to worry about everything, and on your topic, they're right on, and they know all the right questions and are asking all the right issues, and that's what this mayor did. This is not something that's a second or a third point to Mayor Gray. This is at the top of his agenda. Okay, the first of our winning designs is what I will call the AECOM team. Roll it.
21st century stormwater management in a 19th century neighborhood. Submitted by AECOM, KPG Design Studio, GeoConcepts Engineering, Prime Engineering, and CDDI. The design integrates green infrastructure into the streetscape and rooftops within a complex historical and cultural context in a Georgetown neighborhood. Some of the highlighted stormwater design elements include rooftop rainwater storage and collection using blue roofs, curbside bioretention, permeable paving, and subsurface rainwater storage. The numerous green infrastructure solutions result in an overall stormwater solution that greens and enhances a culturally and historically significant urban landscape.
This is the AECOM team. Can you please come forward? One of the aspects that we wanted for this project is that all of these projects are designed in the neighborhoods where we would have to do the stormwater management for the actual initiative. So this is not to do it somewhere where it works because there's all sorts of features. We want it in the place with the challenges on the streets where the actual work would need to be done for the initiative. And the one I just mentioned is one of the historic Georgetown C&O Canal locations. So that's a common theme throughout. The next of our winning teams is the CH2M Hill team.
Greening the district's geometry, enhancing Law Fall's plan, submitted by CH2M Hill. The design identifies a number of triangular open spaces created as a result of the district's unique layout of diagonal avenues and the overlapping street grid. CH2M Hill's design proposal aims to repurpose these open spaces into a network of green infrastructure. The selected representative site includes a bioswale that captures, treats, and directs runoff to a large rain garden, enhances the existing public park, and provides an opportunity for outdoor education curriculum linked to the nearby Truesdale Education campus. The proposal models a typology that may be replicated on a variety of scales by identifying 75 additional green triangles throughout the combined sewer shed where similar green infrastructure treatments could be applied.
So the CH2M Hill team. The third winner is Team Rain Design.
Kennedy Green, a neighborhood green street project, submitted by Urban Rain Design, Niche Engineering, Stacy Levy, and Raymond Papa. The design is focused on the identified public property site located on Kennedy Street Northwest and identifies 6 green infrastructure design strategies that could be replicated through urban corridors across the district. Highlighted stormwater design elements include pavers with landscape infiltration gaps, graded landscape driveway and alleyway entrances, and subsurface storage infiltration zones with a total capture volume of 1.7 inches of rainfall. The design further promotes the complete streets concept with traffic calming elements, bike lane sharrows, sidewalk crossings, and boardwalks that complement the green infrastructure design features.
Urban Rain Design, Niche Engineering, Stacy Levy, and Raymond Papa. Please come forward. Our fourth fourth team, is the Tetra Tech team.
Lamont Park, integrating green infrastructure and bike infrastructure, submitted by Tetra Tech, Tool Design Group, and Hazen and Sawyer. The design retrofits Lamont Park, an urban plaza park located in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood, with green infrastructure and bicycle-focused infrastructure. The proposal uses the existing park and streetscape as a model for bike lane and bioretention applications that may be applied on a district-wide scale. The team highlighted the use of permeable paving on bicycle lanes to reduce stormwater runoff, improve bike safety, and provide a public amenity. Volume not captured in the permeable bike lane would flow into tree box bioretention, promoting landscape and tree installations as an additional streetscape enhancement feature.
The Tetra Tech team. The fifth team is Bradley Site Design, Greening Urban.
A stormwater park system, submitted by Bradley Site Design and Greening Urban. The design targets underutilized open space in the district by identifying vacant parcels, right-of-way segments, and parklets for green infrastructure implementation. The identified design goal promotes linking green infrastructure to form a cohesive system of neighborhood-level stormwater solutions that also provide public amenities. Strategies for widespread implementation include the development of design standards and planting palettes. 3 sites in the Piney Branch watershed were identified as representative areas for concept plan development: a bioretention planting strip in the right-of-way, a park with community amenity space and rain garden in a right-of-way alley parcel, and a parklet with a rain garden.
Bradley Site Design and Greening Urban. The next is Team McKissick.
Symbiotic Streetscapes, submitted by McKissick & McKissick, Bradley Site Design, and Greening Urban. The design is focused on the identified public property site located on Prospect Street Northwest in Georgetown, illustrating a green infrastructure implementation concept for the urban landscape, featuring biofilter zones and permeable landscapes. Highlighted stormwater design elements include movable planters that function as street-side herb and vegetable gardens, and a subsurface trench and well system for storing more than 1.7 inches of rainfall. Other site amenities such as reflective pavements, bicycle facilities, and solar-powered lighting were included in the submission in addition to the green infrastructure design elements. The design provides an example for green infrastructure solutions that may be retrofitted within dense urban corridors throughout the district.
Team McKissick. And the final one of our awardees today is Team Arcadis.
Utilizing Lost Urban Space, submitted by Arcadis, RTKL, Biohabitats, EQR, DeLon Hampton, NSP Regreen, Robinson and Associates, and GeoConcepts Engineering. The design is focused on the identified public property site located on Prospect Street Northwest in Georgetown and incorporates interconnected green infrastructure to revitalize lost urban spaces, including spaces between buildings, underutilized open space, and vehicular circulation and parking lanes. The highlighted elements may capture significant stormwater volumes beyond the required stormwater management. These include sculptural downspout disconnections that provide irrigation for raised planter beds and an inverted canopy collection system that provides shade for cafe users and rainwater harvesting for landscape irrigation. This host of proposed green infrastructure solutions could be replicated across various lost urban spaces throughout the district's urban landscape.
Team Arcadis. Let's have a round again for all of our winners, some of the best of the best. And to remind you again that our goal is to experiment, learn from, and we hope ultimately to implement the best of what the world has to offer for green infrastructure in Washington, D.C. So this is a very exciting time, a very exciting moment. We're so grateful for the teams that won, and I have to say for the teams that didn't. There were no bad applicants. We are really grateful for everyone who took the time and effort to submit, and we're looking forward to this next stage, and I hope helping to transform the landscape of the city while we also improve its water quality. I am really delighted that the mayor, the city administrator, Keith Anderson, have been here today. When we started earnestly working on this about 2 years ago, the city administrator and the mayor said we've got to have the entire district government come together because it cannot happen by DC Water working alone. It's DDOT with streets, it's DPW with maintenance, it's Department of Environment with stormwater management, regulatory oversight, and they've got some of the most innovative practices already being built. So this has to be a joint effort, and we have to work together on it. So he naturally went to the city administrator, and he naturally went to the mayor. And the mayor, who was at that parallel time driving the sustainability plan for the city, designed to make it the greatest green city in the world, I think absolutely a worthwhile, not only task, I think we're going to achieve it. But I can tell you in all the time I have worked as general manager of DC Water, I met with the mayor yesterday, we were presenting this. He always knows the questions to ask. He reviews it's in detail, but it's not like getting down in the weeds. It's like this laser-like ability to lock on to the important topics at hand, focus on them, and then help us drive them forward. And to me, that's the definition of a public servant. I'm delighted to introduce our mayor, Vincent Gray.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, George. You recited that just the way I wrote it last night. I want to thank first of all George. He is the most enthusiastic public servant I have ever met, and we have some enthusiastic people who work in the District of Columbia. This guy can make garbage sound absolutely wonderful. When you've been, you know, he can tell you about sewage, and you want to go like, I want more of that sewage. Bring on some of that sewage. And that's because he is so talented and he is so enthusiastic about his job. And I'm going to ask you all, he's asked for a hand for a lot of people in this room. How about a big hand for George Hawkins? But I'd like to think that we are leading the way in terms of sustainability. And if you happen to know otherwise, I'd appreciate it if you just keep it to yourself, all right? So that we can shamelessly brag about that. I want to thank the organizations again who were honored today. Arcadis, Tetra Tech, CH2M Hill, Urban Rain Design, Niche Engineering, Stacy Levy, Raymond Papa, ICOM, McKissick, and Bradley Site Design, Greening Urban, all of which you saw up here receiving awards this afternoon. And George, I want to thank you for the vision invested in creating this kind of awards program in the first place. And I hope that this is something we will do annually to encourage people to do the kind of innovation that is embedded in the work that we saw demonstrated today. DC Water's green infrastructure initiatives, including the Green Infrastructure Challenge, which we are here for today, actually work hand in hand with our sustainable DC plan. I hope all of you have seen the Sustainability DC plan. If you haven't, you better get one quick because we only have about 15,000 copies of it left at this stage. But it is really something that we are very proud of. I want to say again, DC Water, George, is really taking I think some of the most significant steps towards achieving our goal of becoming the healthiest, greenest, most livable city in the nation over these next 20 years. And again, not to be repetitive, but I want to thank you for the leadership that you have provided to help get us to where we are today. As the mayor, one of the things that I'm constantly focusing on are jobs that will strengthen our economy. And there clearly is a nexus between creating the kind of healthy, green environment that we want to, the healthy, livable city we want to have, and creating jobs in the District of Columbia. We were talking about jobs just yesterday. How many jobs are being created by some of the work that's going on across the city, being led by DC Water. In fact, jobs are being created by the folks who are awardees. I think 5 of the 7 challenge winners have offices in the District of Columbia, and I hope next year that those other 2 will have moved into the District of Columbia. You better move quick. We're running out of space, okay? There may not be a lot of space left, so please move into the District of Columbia and be a part of this growing and rapidly developing city. There's so many things we could be proud of. The number of buildings we built, the improved educational outcomes of our children, the number of people who are getting back to work, the economic development that's taking place in the city, the investment in affordable housing, the number of jobs that are being created. There are lots of things that we can be proud of, but none that we can be more proud of than our commitment to sustainability, because it will preserve today and it will preserve the future for our children and teach them very healthy ways of being able to live in what today is the greatest city in the nation, and what tomorrow will be one day the 51st state of the United States of America. Thank you all very much.